18 months after Project Chains, the galaxy had settled into an uneasy peace. Humanity controlled the major trade routes, industrial centers, and military infrastructure. But beneath the surface, resentment festered like an infected wound. Director Yoon-ji Cho ran the Human Intelligence Network from a secure facility on Earth. Screens filled the walls of her command center, each one showing data from across the galaxy. She saw everything. Communications, movements, secret meetings. What she saw worried her. The resistance movements are growing, she told Admiral Young-soo during their morning briefing. Small groups at first, but they are connecting, coordinating. In 3 months, maybe 6, they will be ready to act. Young-soo studied the intelligence reports. Who leads them? A Velaran admiral named Thelmora. She survived Arcturus. A Krill war prince called Zikthak who lost his entire family in the surrender. And representatives from 37 other species. They call themselves the Liberation Front. Let them call themselves whatever they want, Young-soo said dismissively. Without quantum drives, they cannot threaten us. Sir, Yoon-ji said carefully, they are not the only problem. We have human sympathizers helping them. That got his attention. Explain. Yoon-ji pulled up another file. Dr. Yan-Woo Bei, one of our xenobiology experts. He has been leaking information about our fleet movements and supply shipments. He is also helping the front smuggle weapons. Why? Young-soo asked, genuinely confused. He believes we have become the monsters we fought against. Yoon-ji replied. He is not alone. About 5% of our personnel show signs of sympathizing with occupied populations. Young-soo sat back in his chair. 5%. That is manageable. Watch them. If they act against humanity, arrest them. But do not create martyrs by moving too soon. In a hidden laboratory on a remote station, Dr. Yan-Woo worked with Liberation Front scientists. They were brilliant, these aliens. Together they had achieved something remarkable. It works, a Velaran scientist said excitedly. The quantum ignition device successfully restarted the test drive. Even with Project Chains active, we can restore quantum technology. Yan-Woo felt both pride and shame. Pride in the scientific achievement. Shame for betraying his own species. But he could not stand by and watch humanity become an empire of tyrants. Someone had to help these people. Someone had to prove that not all humans were conquerors. Agent Ji-hoon Lee sat in the same room, pretending to be a human sympathizer. In reality, he was Yoon-ji's best undercover operative. He had infiltrated the Liberation Front 6 months ago and slowly worked his way into their inner circle. Now he learned their complete plan. The front would deploy quantum ignition devices across 50 star systems simultaneously. Each device would restore quantum drive capability in a specific region. Once their fleets could move again, they would strike at human military installations in a coordinated attack. The target date was symbolic. The 2-year anniversary of Project Chains activation. Ji-hoon sent an encrypted message to Director Yoon-ji. Within hours, the intelligence reached Admiral Young-soo and Grand Admiral Hyun-woo. A meeting was called. The most powerful people in human government gathered in a secure room to decide humanity's response. Ambassador Da-woon spoke first. We should negotiate. Open discussions with the front. If we crush this uprising, we prove we are nothing but oppressors. We need to offer them a path forward. Representation, autonomy, a voice in their own governance. Admiral Young-soo disagreed strongly. Show weakness now and every species will rise against us. We made hard choices to survive. Choices others forced us to make. We do not apologize for living. We crush this rebellion before it starts. General Taeyang stood between them as he often did. We won the war. But if we want to win the peace, we cannot rule by fear forever. That only works for so long. We need to be smarter. Grand Admiral Hyun-woo listened to all sides. Finally, he spoke. We stop the uprising, but we do not stop there. We give them something they do not expect. What? Da-yoon asked. Hope, Hyun-woo replied. Major Sung-ho Park commanded the special operations team assigned to stop the uprising. He was young for his rank, but his record spoke for itself. 30 successful missions without a single failure. Ji-hoon provided detailed intelligence on every quantum ignition device location. Sung-ho planned 50 simultaneous strikes. His teams would hit every target at exactly the same moment the front planned to activate them. The operation was called Sunlight. Because, Sung-ho explained to his team leaders, we are bringing their plans into the light and burning them away. The anniversary arrived. Liberation Front members gathered at their designated locations, ready to activate the devices and strike back against humanity. They believed this day would mark the beginning of freedom. Instead, it marked their defeat. Human Special Forces teams appeared simultaneously across 50 star systems. They struck fast and precise. Doors were breached. Devices were seized or destroyed. Front members were arrested before they could react. The entire operation took less than 30 minutes. Admiral Thelmora was captured on a station near her homeworld. She stood in chains, watching human soldiers catalog the seized equipment. She had been so certain the plan would work, so sure that humanity could be defeated. War Prince Zikthak was arrested on a Krill colony ship. He expected execution. Instead, human soldiers treated him with professional courtesy. They gave him food and water. They did not torture him or mock him. He did not understand. Dr. Yanwu was the last to be arrested. He was working in his laboratory when Director Yunji walked in with security personnel. He did not resist. "I'm sorry," he told her. "I could not stand by and watch us become everything we hate." "I understand," Yunji said quietly. "I do not agree, but I understand." The galaxy expected mass executions. Harsh reprisals, the kind of brutal response that empires throughout history had used to crush rebellion. Instead, Grand Admiral Hyunwoo made a broadcast. He appeared on every screen in human-controlled space. Behind him stood representatives from dozens of species, including Admiral Thelmora and War Prince Zikthak, now freed from their chains. The Terran consolidation was born from betrayal and war, Hyunwoo said. "We seized power because we had to, because the alternative was extinction, but holding power requires something different than taking it. Today I announce the formation of the Galactic Council. Across the galaxy, billions watched in disbelief. Every species under Terran oversight will have representation on this council. You will have voices. You will have rights. You will have the opportunity to prove that coexistence is possible. We are not asking you to love us. We are not even asking you to forgive us. We are asking you to work with us to build something better." He paused, letting that sink in. "But make no mistake, human authority remains absolute. We control quantum technology. We control faster than light travel. We control the military. Cross certain lines and you will discover that mercy is a gift we give, not a weakness you can exploit. Work with us and we will work with you. Betray us again and there will be no third chances." The response was mixed. Some species embraced the council as a step toward equality. Others saw it as a facade, human control dressed up as democracy. But everyone recognized it as an opportunity. Admiral Thelmora accepted a position on the council as the Valoran representative. She would be the loyal opposition, ensuring humanity did not become the monsters they defeated. War Prince Zikthak also joined, representing Krill interests. He swore an oath to work within the system rather than against it. Dr. Yanwu faced a different fate. Instead of execution, he was assigned to the council as humanity's advocate for occupied species rights. His job would be to argue against human interests when necessary, to ensure fairness. "Why?" he asked Hyunwoo when the assignment was announced. "I betrayed you." "Yes," Hyunwoo agreed. "But you betrayed us because you believed we were wrong. That means you have principles. The council needs people with principles, even if those principles make us uncomfortable." Director Yunji continued hunting extremists on both sides. Human supremacists who wanted total domination, alien separatists who refused any compromise. She worked to eliminate threats before they could grow. The Galactic Council held its first session 3 months later. Representatives from 47 species gathered in a massive chamber on Earth. They argued. They negotiated. They slowly began building a framework for shared governance. It was not perfect. Human ships still patrolled the trade routes. Human governors still had final authority on occupied worlds. But it was a start. Ambassador Diane watched the first session with cautious optimism. "Maybe," she said to Hyunwoo, "we can actually build something lasting." "Maybe," Hyunwoo agreed. "But we will have to earn it. Every single day." High Commander Verkesh stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Dark Hammer. He watched the planet below through the main viewing screen. The shields around the cities were failing. Soon his weapons would reach the surface. Soon this colony would belong to the Drexian Empire. "Status of their defenses?" he asked. Shields at 30%, his weapons officer reported. They will fail in 15 minutes, Rakesh smiled. This was easier than he expected. The colony had no real military, just some old defensive platforms and energy shields. They could not fight back. They could only wait to die. Any response to our surrender demand? He asked. They refused, Commander. Rakesh shrugged. It did not matter. Slaves or corpses, either way the planet would be his. Increase firing rate. I want this finished before an alarm cut him off. A loud piercing sound filled the bridge. Red lights flashed everywhere. Commander! His sensor operator shouted. Spatial ruptures detected. Multiple contacts emerging from hyperspace. What? Rakesh turned to look at the tactical display. His smile vanished. Space itself was tearing apart at the edge of the system. 14 massive tiers in reality appeared, and from each tier came a ship. But these were not normal ships. These were monsters. The largest one was over 2 kilometers long. It had smooth gray armor that seemed to absorb light. Weapons covered every surface. Behind it came battlecruisers, carriers, and destroyers. Each one was bigger and more advanced than anything in Rakesh's fleet. Get me ship identification, Rakesh ordered. His voice was not as confident now. Working on it, Commander. The energy signatures are strange. More advanced than anything in our database. Wait, we're receiving a transmission. A voice came through the speakers. It spoke in perfect Drexian language. The voice was calm and cold. This is Admiral Daeho Kim of the Earth Defense Force, 7th Expeditionary Fleet. You are ordered to cease your attack immediately and withdraw from this system. You have 60 seconds to comply. Earth? Rakesh had heard of Earth. It was some minor world on the edge of known space. Humans were a young species. They had only been in space for a few hundred years. They were nothing compared to the mighty Drexian Empire, but those ships were very real. Run analysis on those vessels, Rakesh said. I want to know their capabilities. His tactical officer worked quickly. Commander, the computer cannot fully analyze their technology. It's beyond our understanding in several areas, but estimated firepower is significant. Each of their capital ships matches 3 of ours. Rakesh felt cold fear in his stomach, but he could not show weakness. Not in front of his crew. He had conquered 17 worlds. He would not run from some unknown humans. Open a channel, he ordered. Let me speak to this admiral. The main screen changed. Admiral Kim appeared. He was a human, smaller than Rakesh, with gray hair and hard eyes. He wore a simple uniform. Behind him, the bridge of his ship was filled with activity. I am High Commander Rakesh of the Drexian Empire. This world is ours by right of conquest. You have no authority here. Leave now or face the consequences. Admiral Kim's expression did not change. This world has 80,000 civilians who called for help. We answered, your right of conquest ends here. Withdraw or we will force you to withdraw. You dare threaten the Drexian Empire? We have crushed better fleets than yours. 30 seconds, Admiral Kim said. A countdown timer appeared on the screen. Rakesh looked at his officers. They were watching him, waiting for orders. He could not back down. His pride would not allow it. Besides, he had 47 ships. These humans only had 14. Battle formation, he ordered. All ships prepare to engage. Show these humans what happens when they interfere with the Drexian Empire. On Heathrow's Prime, Governor Kang stared at his command screen in disbelief. Ships. Massive ships had appeared from nowhere. They were between his world and the Drexian fleet. The energy readings were incredible. Who are they? Someone asked. Earth Defense Force, his communications officer said. They're from Earth, the human homeworld. Earth? Governor Kang could not believe it. Earth was so far away. Why would they come here? Why would they risk their lives for strangers? Aboard the ESS Indomitable, Admiral Kim watched the countdown reach 0. The Drexian ships were moving into attack formation. They were not going to withdraw. Commander Lee, Admiral Kim said quietly, weapons free. Rules of engagement. Disable where possible, destroy only when necessary. Try to minimize casualties. Yes, sir, Commander Taeyong Lee said. His fingers moved across his control panel. All ships report ready. Targeting solutions locked. Ensign Jiwon Song sat at her weapons station. This was her first real combat situation. She had trained for years. But training was different from reality. She could see the Drexian ships on her screen. Each one had crew members. Living beings. And she was about to fire weapons at them. Her hands trembled slightly. Commander Lee noticed. Steady, Ensign, he said gently. We're here to protect innocent people. Those Drexians made their choice. We're making ours. She took a deep breath and nodded. Her hands became steady. All ships. Admiral Kim's voice went out to the entire fleet. This is not about glory or conquest. This is about protecting those who cannot protect themselves. Make every shot count. Make them remember why humanity earned its place among the stars. The Drexian fleet fired first. Dozens of green plasma beams shot across space toward the Earth ships. It was a devastating first strike. The kind of attack that had destroyed entire fleets. But the Earth ships did not die. Point defense systems activated. Thousands of small railgun rounds shot out from the Earth vessels. They intercepted the plasma beams in space. Explosions lit up the darkness like fireworks. The few shots that got through hit energy shields that glowed blue and absorbed the impact. Not a single Earth ship took damage. On the Dark Hammer, Vrakesh stared in shock. Impossible. Our weapons are the most powerful in the galaxy. Their defensive systems are beyond anything we've seen, his tactical officer said. His voice was shaking. Commander, I recommend we withdraw immediately. No. Fire again. All weapons. But before the Drexian ships could fire a second time, the Earth fleet returned fire. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time. Blue energy beams shot out from the Earth ships. They moved faster than plasma. They burned through Drexian armor like it was paper. Railgun rounds moving at incredible speeds punched through shields and hulls. Missiles with smart targeting systems weaved through space, avoiding point defense and finding weak spots. 3 Drexian destroyers exploded in the first 5 seconds. Their shields could not stop the Earth weapons. Their armor was useless. They simply ceased to exist, turned into clouds of debris and fire. Evasive maneuvers, Vrakesh screamed. Get us out of their firing line. But the Earth ships seemed to know where they would move before they moved. Every time a Drexian vessel tried to dodge, Earth weapons were already aimed at that spot. It was like fighting an enemy that could see the future. The truth was simpler but just as scary. The Earth ships had computers that could predict enemy movements. They had artificial intelligence that calculated thousands of possibilities every second. The Drexians were not fighting humans. They were fighting humans and their machines working together. Lieutenant Hana Choi was still at her communication station. She could hear everything happening on the Drexian command channels. They were panicking. Ships were calling for help. Officers were screaming orders. Some were praying to their gods. She felt sad for them. They had come here to kill innocent people, but they were still living beings with families and hopes. War was terrible for everyone. On Heathrow's Prime, people came out of the shelters to watch. The sky was filled with light. They could see the battle happening in orbit. They watched as the massive Earth ships tore through the Drexian fleet like wolves through sheep. Little Subin held her father's hand. Are those the good ships, Daddy? Governor Kang nodded, tears in his eyes. Yes, sweetheart. Those are the good ships. They came to save us. The battle was just beginning, but already everyone could see how it would end. The space around Heathrow's Prime was quiet. Too quiet. The small colony world hung in the darkness like a blue and green jewel. 80,000 people lived there. Farmers, teachers, doctors, families. They had come to this distant world looking for peace and a new life. But peace was about to end. Governor Byung-Hoon Kang stood in his office and looked at the stars through the window. He was a tired man with gray hair and worry lines on his face. He had built this colony from nothing. Every building, every road, every farm was a result of years of hard work. His daughter Subin was drawing pictures at his desk. She was only 7 years old. She drew the stars and the ships that sometimes passed by their world. She wanted to fly among those stars one day. The alarm broke the peaceful moment. A loud sound filled the office. Red lights flashed on every wall. Governor Kang grabbed his communicator. His hands shook. Ships coming out of hyperspace, the voice said. It was his defense coordinator. The man sounded scared. 47 vessels. They're Drexian warships, sir. Drexian. The name made Governor Kang's blood run cold. The Drexian Empire had conquered 17 worlds in the last 5 years. They were known for their cruelty. They did not take prisoners. They did not show mercy. Raise our shields, Governor Kang ordered. Send a distress call to everyone. The Galactic Council, nearby systems, anyone who can hear us, he knew it was useless. Heathrow's Prime was in the Vulcan expanse. This was neutral space between 3 major powers. Nobody came here. Nobody cared about what happened here. The Galactic Council would talk and debate for days. By then, everyone on HFY Prime would be dead. Subin looked up from her drawing. "Daddy, what's wrong?" He picked her up and held her close. "Nothing, sweetheart. Just some visitors." He tried to smile but failed. 3 systems away, something else was happening. Something the Drexians did not know about. Lieutenant Hana Choi sat at her station aboard the ESS Indomitable. She was a communications specialist. Her job was to listen to all the radio signals in space. Most of the time it was boring work. She heard traders talking about prices. She heard automated weather reports. She heard nothing important, but today was different. Her console beeped, a distress signal. She put on her headphones and listened. At first she heard static. Then she heard voices. Scared voices. Children crying. Adults praying. "This is HFY Prime," a man's voice said. "We are under attack by Drexian forces. 80,000 civilians. Minimal defenses. Please, someone help us, please." Lieutenant Choi's hands froze on her keyboard. She had trained for many situations, but hearing real people begging for their lives was different from training. These were real children crying for their mothers. Real families about to die. She pressed the emergency button. "Commander Lee, we have a situation." Commander Taeyong Lee was the tactical officer. He came to her station quickly. He listened to the recording. His face became hard. "How far?" he asked. 3 jumps away, Lieutenant Choi said. "Maybe 6 hours at maximum speed. Get this to the Admiral immediately." Admiral Daeho Kim was in his private quarters when the message came. He was a man in his 50s with short black hair turning gray at the temples. He had been in the Earth Defense Force for 30 years. He had seen many things. But this situation was different. He listened to the distress call 3 times. Each time the children's crying made his jaw tighter. He called his senior staff to the command center. 47 Drexian ships, Commander Lee said, pointing at the holographic display. Heavy cruisers, destroyers, and support vessels. They're beginning orbital bombardment. Captain Minji Park spoke next. She commanded the stealth reconnaissance ships. "We can reach them in 4 hours if we jump immediately. But sir, we don't have authorization from Earth Command. This is technically neutral space." Admiral Kim stood silent for a long moment. His officers waited. Everyone in the room knew what he was thinking. If he ordered the fleet to attack without permission, he could be court-martialed. His career would end. He might even go to prison, but 80,000 people would die if he did nothing. "Captain Park," he said finally, "take your stealth ships ahead. Get detailed scans of enemy positions, weaknesses, everything. Stay hidden. Do not engage." "Yes, sir," Captain Park said. She understood immediately. The Admiral was committing to help. "Commander Lee, prepare the fleet for combat jump. Weapons hot, shields ready." "We go in prepared for the worst, sir," someone said. "What about Earth Command?" Admiral Kim looked at the young officer. "We'll send them a message after we arrive. Sometimes you have to ask for forgiveness instead of permission. Those people need help now, not in 3 days when the politicians finish talking." The command center became busy. Officers ran to their stations. Systems powered up. The massive ship hummed with energy as the engines prepared for the jump. Captain Park's stealth ship, the ESS Shadow Dancer, jumped first. It vanished into hyperspace like a ghost. Then the rest of the fleet began their preparations. 14 massive warships, the pride of Earth's defense forces. They were about to do something that would change the galaxy forever. Back on HFY Prime, the bombardment had begun. Green energy beams fell from the sky. They hit the shield generators protecting the cities. The shields held for now, but everyone knew they would not last long. Governor Kang watched from the command center. He had moved his daughter to the underground shelters with the other children. She had not wanted to go. She had cried and held on to his leg. But he had to let her go. The shelters were the safest place. A message came through on the main screen. It was the Drexian commander, High Commander Vrikesh. He was a large alien with gray skin and 4 arms. His face appeared on every screen in the colony. "People of HFY Prime," Vrikesh said. His voice was deep and cold. "Your world now belongs to the Drexian Empire. Surrender immediately and you will be allowed to live as servants. Resist and you will die. You have 1 hour to decide." The message ended. Governor Kang knew there was no real choice. Surrender meant slavery. His people would spend the rest of their lives working in mines or factories. The children would never see freedom. Death was better than that. "Send the Drexians our answer. he told his communications officer. "We will never surrender." The bombardment increased. More energy beams fell. The shields began to flicker and fail. People in the streets looked up at the sky and knew death was coming. But far above, sliding through the darkness like a shadow, the ESS Shadow Dancer had arrived. Captain Park and her crew watched the Drexian fleet through their sensors. They recorded everything: ship positions, weapon types, shield frequencies, everything the Admiral would need. "Send the data to the fleet," Captain Park ordered. "Tell the Admiral we're in position." "Data sent," her communications officer replied. "The fleet acknowledges. They're beginning their jump now. Help was coming. The question was whether it would arrive in time." The space around Heathrow's Prime was quiet again. But this time the silence was peaceful. The battle was over. Disabled Drexian ships floated in space, their crews waiting to be rescued. Major Kyung-ho Jang led his Marines through the corridors of a damaged Drexian cruiser. They wore heavy armor and carried medical supplies. Their mission was not to fight, it was to save lives. They found the crew huddled in the emergency shelter. 37 Drexian soldiers and officers. They looked scared. They had expected the humans to execute them. That was what the Drexians did to defeated enemies. Major Jang removed his helmet. He wanted them to see his face. "We're here to help," he said in their language. "Anyone injured?" The Drexians stared at him in confusion. One of them, an officer, spoke. "You speak our language?" "Yes. We learned about your people when you first appeared in known space. Now who needs medical attention?" Several wounded Drexians were lying on the floor. Burns, broken bones, cuts from flying debris. Major Jang's medics went to work immediately. They treated the wounded with the same care they would give to their own soldiers. The Drexian officer watched in amazement. "Why?" he asked. "We tried to kill you. We would have destroyed your ships if we could. Why help us?" Major Jang looked at him. "Because the battle is over. You're not our enemies anymore. You're just people who need help." Similar scenes played out across the battlefield. Earth medical ships moved from vessel to vessel. They rescued Drexian crew members. They provided medicine and supplies. They even helped repair some of the damaged ships so they could limp back to Drexian space. Captain Thralax stood on the bridge of his ship and watched the Earth vessels work. He had made the right choice by surrendering. These humans were different from any species he had encountered. They had the power to destroy, but they chose to help instead. A communication came from the ESS Indomitable. "Captain Thralax, this is Admiral Kim. I would like to speak with you. Would you be willing to come aboard my ship?" Thralax agreed. A small Earth shuttle came to pick him up. As he walked through the corridors of the Indomitable, he saw the crew at work. They moved with efficiency and purpose. The ship was incredibly advanced. Technology everywhere was beyond what the Drexian Empire had. Admiral Kim met him in a simple office. Not the Grand Command Center, but a quiet room with 2 chairs and a table. The Admiral gestured for Thralax to sit. "Thank you for surrendering," Admiral Kim said. "You saved many lives today. Your crew's and ours." "I studied Earth," Thralax said. "I knew what you were capable of." High Commander Vrakesh did not. He thought you were just another minor species. He was wrong. "We don't seek conflict," Admiral Kim said. "We just want to live in peace. But we will not stand by while innocent people are killed." "What will happen to me and my crew?" Thralax asked. "We're offering asylum to any Drexian who wants it. You can stay on Earth or in Earth-protected space, or you can return to your empire. The choice is yours. We're not holding prisoners. We're not taking slaves." Thralax was silent for a long moment. "The Drexian Empire will not forget this defeat. They will send more ships. They will seek revenge. Then we'll be here to stop them," Admiral Kim said simply. "This region of space is under Earth's protection now. We're establishing defensive platforms and treaty agreements with nearby systems. The days of conquest in this sector are over." On Heathrow's Prime, reconstruction had already begun. Earth construction ships worked alongside local engineers. They repaired damaged buildings. They rebuilt shield generators. They brought supplies and equipment. Ensign Min Ho Kwan was part of the damage control team working on the planet. He had specialized training in emergency repairs. He and his team helped restore power to hospitals and water treatment facilities. A local woman approached him. She was carrying her young son. "Thank you," she said in broken standard language. "You saved us. How can we repay you?" Ensign Kwan smiled. "No repayment needed. Just live good lives. Raise your children in peace. That's all we want. Governor Kang stood with Admiral Kim on the steps of the rebuilt government building. Thousands of people had gathered in the square. They wanted to see the man who had saved them. Speech, speech, the crowd chanted. Admiral Kim was not comfortable with public speaking. He was a military man, not a politician. But he stepped forward. People of HFY Prime, he said. His voice carried across the square through speakers. We did not come here seeking glory or gratitude. We came because you needed help. Because your lives matter. Because in the vast darkness of space we all share the same home among the stars. He paused, looking at the faces in the crowd. Earth has made many mistakes in its history. We've fought wars among ourselves. We've hurt each other. But we learned something important from those dark times. We learned that the strong have a responsibility to protect the weak. That having power means using it to help, not to hurt. Little Subin pushed her way to the front of the crowd. She held up a drawing she had made. It showed Earth ships protecting her world. Admiral Kim saw her and smiled. This young artist understands what we're trying to do, he said, pointing to Subin. We're here to protect, to help, to make sure that children can grow up without fear, that families can build homes without worry, that people can live in peace. The crowd cheered, not because they worshipped the Earth forces as gods, but because they recognized genuine kindness and protection when they saw it. Back on Earth, the news of the Hethros incident spread quickly. Some politicians were angry that Admiral Kim had acted without authorization. They wanted to punish him for starting a conflict without permission, but Ambassador Ji-yeon Ryu stood before the Earth Council and defended him. Admiral Kim did what was right, not what was convenient, she said. He saved 80,000 lives. He showed the galaxy that Earth stands for something, that we're not just another power-seeking conquest. We're protectors. The council debated for hours. Finally, they made their decision. Admiral Kim would not be punished. Instead, he would be promoted. Earth was officially establishing 6 new expeditionary fleets. Their mission, patrol the galaxy and respond to threats against innocent people. The Drexian Empire received a message from Earth. It was direct and clear. The Velkan Expanse is now under Earth protection. Any further attacks on this region will be considered an act of war against humanity. We recommend peaceful relations instead of continued conflict. The Drexian leadership met in emergency session. They watched recordings of the battle. They saw how easily their armada was defeated. They saw the power of Earth's weapons. They made a practical decision. The Drexian Empire agreed to peace talks. They offered massive reparations to HFY Prime and the other worlds they had conquered. They opened diplomatic channels with Earth. It was not because they suddenly became peaceful. It was because they were smart enough to know when they were outmatched. Captain Thralax chose to stay with Earth. He was granted asylum and began teaching at Earth military academies. His lessons were simple but powerful. Don't fight enemies you cannot defeat. Don't make enemies of those who offer friendship. And never mistake kindness for weakness. 3 months after the battle, the ESS Indomitable prepared to leave HFY Prime. Their work was done. The planet was safe. New defensive platforms orbited the world. A treaty was signed. Earth and HFY Prime were now allies. Governor Kang stood with his daughter at the spaceport. They watched the massive Earth ships prepare for departure. Sobin held her father's hand. Will they come back if we need help again? She asked. Governor Kang nodded. Yes, they promised. And I believe them. The Earth fleet jumped into hyperspace, vanishing in brilliant flashes of light. But they left something behind. Hope, security, and the knowledge that somewhere out in the vast darkness of space, there were people who would answer when you called for help. 1 year after the Battle of HFY Prime, the galaxy had changed. News of Earth's intervention had spread across thousands of worlds. The story was told differently depending on who was telling it. Some said Earth had defeated the mighty Drexian Empire in minutes. Others said humans had weapons that could destroy planets. The truth was less dramatic but more important. Earth had shown that protecting innocent people was more valuable than conquering them. The Galactic Council held a special session to discuss Earth's growing influence. Representatives from hundreds of worlds gathered in the Great Assembly Hall. Counselor Yejin Im stood at the speaker's podium representing humanity. She was a small woman with sharp eyes and a calm voice. She had been a diplomat for 20 years. She knew how to speak to power. Honored members of the council, she began. Many of you are concerned about Earth's military action at HFY Prime. You say we violated protocols, that we acted without authorization, that we may have started a war. Some council members nodded. Others whispered to each other. Councillor Im continued, "Let me ask you a question. How long did this council debate before deciding to help HFY Prime? 3 days. How long did it take Earth to respond? 4 hours. While you talked, people died. While you debated protocols, children hid in shelters waiting for death." The assembly hall became quiet. Councillor Im's voice was not angry. It was sad and firm. Earth does not seek to dominate this council or any world. But we will not ask permission to save lives. We will not wait for approval while innocents suffer. If that makes us dangerous, then let us be dangerous on behalf of those who have no other protection. She paused and looked around the chamber. We are not conquerors. We are protectors. Any world threatened by aggression can call on Earth. We will answer. We will help. And we will never ask for payment or territory in return. The speech ended. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then one delegate stood and applauded. Then another. Then dozens more. Not all of them. Some powerful empires were angry at Earth's new role, but many smaller worlds were grateful. Finally, someone was willing to help them. Within a week, 17 species requested defensive treaties with Earth. They wanted protection. They wanted to know that if they called for help, someone would come. On HFY Prime, life had returned to normal. Better than normal. The colony was thriving. New buildings stood where bombed ruins had been. Trade ships came and went regularly. People no longer feared the sky. In the center of the capital city stood a memorial. It was a simple stone pillar with names carved into it. The names of everyone who died in the Drexian attack. At the base was a metal plaque with words in many languages. They called for help. Someone answered. Every morning, someone placed fresh flowers at the memorial. Usually it was Governor Kang or his daughter Subin. Sometimes it was random citizens who just wanted to remember and be grateful. Subin was 8 years old now. She was doing well in school. Her favorite subject was space navigation. She wanted to join Earth's fleet when she grew up. She wanted to help people like Admiral Kim had helped her world. Professor Minji Hong wrote a book about the Battle of HFY Prime. It became required reading at military academies across the galaxy. Not just Earth academies, but schools on dozens of worlds. The book's conclusion was simple but powerful. The battle was won not because of superior weapons, though Earth's technology was impressive. It was won because Earth had something most empires lack, a reason to fight beyond conquest. They fought for people they had never met, for values they believed in. That made them unstoppable. On Earth, Admiral Daeho Kim had returned to his duties. He was now Fleet Admiral Daeho Kim, promoted to oversee all Earth expeditionary forces. His office overlooked the military academy where he spent much of his time. He taught classes to new officers. His lessons were practical, based on real experience. Today, he was speaking to a class of 200 cadets. They watched him with respect and attention. Power is easy to obtain, he told them. Any species can build weapons. Any empire can conquer weak worlds. True strength is harder. True strength is knowing when not to use your power, knowing when to show mercy, knowing how to help instead of hurt. A young cadet raised her hand. Sir, what if showing mercy makes others think we're weak? Admiral Kim smiled. Then we proved them wrong. We showed mercy to surrendering Drexian forces. We helped their wounded. We let them go home. Did that make us look weak? The cadet shook her head. No, sir. It made other species want to ally with us. It showed we could be trusted. Exactly, Admiral Kim said. Remember this, we have weapons that can shatter worlds. We have ships that can cross the galaxy. But our greatest strength is not what we can destroy. It's what we choose to protect. In orbit around Earth, 6 new expeditionary fleets prepared for their missions. Each fleet had 14 ships. Each ship was crewed by the best people Earth could train. They were not going out to conquer. They were going out to patrol, to watch, and to respond when help was needed. Fleet Admiral Seoyeon Kang watched the fleets depart from Earth Space Command headquarters. She was the highest-ranking military officer in Earth's defense forces. The responsibility for all these ships and lives rested on her shoulders. Her aide stood beside her. Admiral, some politicians are worried. They say we're spreading ourselves too thin, that we can't protect everyone. We can't protect everyone, Admiral Kang agreed, but we can protect some, and that's better than protecting no one. Every life saved matters. Every child who grows up without fear matters. That's why we do this. Sergeant Junho Park had left military service and joined the diplomatic corps. He worked on establishing relationships between Earth and species that had once been enemies. He had become friends with several former Drexian soldiers. They met regularly to share meals and talk. One of them asked him a question over dinner. Why do humans care so much about helping others? Most species only care about their own people. Sergeant Park thought for a moment. We learned the hard way. We spent thousands of years fighting each other on Earth. Wars over land, resources, beliefs. Millions died. Then we finally figured out that we were all the same. All human. All sharing one world. All wanting the same basic things: safety, food, family, peace. He continued. When we went into space, we realized the galaxy is the same as Earth. Different species, yes, but all wanting the same things. So we decided to treat everyone the way we learned to treat each other, with respect and help when needed. The Drexian nodded slowly. That is why you will probably dominate the galaxy eventually. Not through conquest, through friendship. Captain Threllax had become a popular teacher. His classes at Earth Military Academy were always full. Students wanted to learn from someone who had fought against Earth and understood both sides. His most important lesson was about recognizing when you were wrong. I served the Drexian Empire for 30 years, he told his students. I believed we were bringing order to chaos, that our conquests were justified. I was wrong. It took seeing Earth's response at Hathros Prime to understand what true strength looks like. The Velkan Expanse was now the safest region of space in 3 sectors. Pirates avoided it. Aggressors went around it. Everyone knew that attacking anyone in that area would bring Earth's fleet running. And nobody wanted to face Earth's fleet. Trade flourished. Small colonies grew. Species that had been enemies for generations began talking to each other. Peace spread like ripples in water, all because one fleet had answered one distress call. In Fleet Admiral Kim's final report to Earth Command, he wrote something that became famous across the galaxy. The words were carved into stone at the entrance to every Earth military base. We did not change the galaxy by showing our strength. We changed it by showing our character. Every species now watches to see what we will do. They expected no one to answer when Hathros Prime called for help. We proved them wrong. Let us continue to prove them wrong every time someone needs us, and they did. In the years that followed, Earth's fleets responded to dozens of crises. Pirate attacks, natural disasters, attempted invasions. Each time they arrived quickly. Each time they helped without asking for anything in return. Each time they proved that calling for help actually meant something. The galaxy became smaller, more connected, safer. Not because one species conquered everyone else, but because one species decided that protecting others was worth the cost. Little Subin, now a teenager, applied to Earth's Naval Academy. She was accepted. When asked why she wanted to serve, she gave a simple answer. When I was 7 years old, my world was dying. We called for help and nobody came. Except Earth, they came. They saved us. Now I want to be like them. I want to answer when someone calls for help. I want to be the person who shows up when everyone else expected no one. Her application essay was shared across the galaxy. It inspired thousands of young people from hundreds of worlds. They all wanted the same thing, to be part of something bigger than themselves, to protect instead of conquer. To help instead of hurt. Earth's fleets continued their patrols. They watched over trade routes. They responded to distress calls. They protected the weak from the strong. And everywhere they went, they carried the same message.